Now then, finally I'm up here again. I didn't think I was going to get a video made this week. I've been a bit busy, one thing and another, and then this weekend, we're starting on Thursday, running right through till Sunday, we've got a brilliant festival which is only 10 minutes from my house. I've been spending all the time there. It's actually the Tall Ships Festival, which I think, you know, it's meant, centrally it's meant to be about ships racing back and forward across the North Sea, but alongside it, or as a main part of it really, there's a music festival with 2 main stages and a few little side stages and some brilliant bands, a mix of local bands and slightly bigger names, and the whole thing's free and it opens up the whole dock area. It's just brilliant to sort of wander around places that we don't usually get access to, and it's a festival which the last time we had it here in Hartlepool was 13 years ago, the only other time we've had it, so it doesn't come round very often, but it seems to bring the whole town out onto the streets, and fantastic atmosphere. So this is the 3rd day of it. Who did we see so far on Thursday? I keep my own, I'm a real nerd, I write the programme out so I can see it in my own handwriting, but yeah, Thursday the highlights for me were Lost State of Dan, sort of Hartlepool band, been going some time, and then Smooth and Terrell, the sort of Geordie soul, white soul merchants, really nice to finish off the Thursday night. Then yesterday, the brilliant James Leonard Hewitson. If anyone hasn't heard James, brilliant, quirky pop songs, great sound, great lyrics. James Leonard Hewitson, this is his first album, Only the Noise Will Save Me. He's got a new album due out, I think, in the coming months sometime, but he was a highlight yesterday. And then following that, the brilliant John Bramwell from I Am Clute, absolutely superb. And finishing off was Maximo Park, not necessarily my cup of tea, but fitting really well at this festival. Then tonight, I've got my hat on ready to get out. It's raining on and off tonight, but that won't spoil it, I don't think. But tonight we've got Teesside folk stars, a cappella type folk stars, really, the young uns. We've won all sorts of folk awards, brilliant folk songs. And then later on we got the Magic Numbers, followed by the Wailers. Well, the last time I seen the Wailers was in Hartlepool, bizarrely enough, in 1986 at the legendary Dock Rock Festival. So yeah, really looking forward to the night. But anyway, I didn't think I was going to get a video done because of all that, but I was just watching some videos this morning and I seen somebody having a go at Richard McCook's what's it called, My Quarter, one of these contest things, and it was, I thought, oh, that's pretty straightforward. I can do that without hardly any research. I can sneak a video in before I go off, because tomorrow actually we're going off to Scarborough. We've got tickets to see Pulp in the open air theatre in Scarborough tomorrow, so it's a big music weekend for me. But anyway, I'm having a go. This is my go at Richard McCook's little contest. He's very generously stuck up a 50 quid prize, so you never know, I might get lucky one of these days. And what it is basically, he's asked for us to show 4 eponymous, look it up, yeah, I had to, albums by any artists. And I've got quite a few in this collection, but when I was looking at them, most of them I've been holding up recently, so I've tried to look for some that I haven't spoke about recently anyway. So we hold up 4 of those, and then a title, your longest title in terms of characters, letters and characters in the album title, and the shortest. Well, the shortest wasn't difficult because I've got a few albums with 2 characters. I don't think I've got any with 1. I might have, but I couldn't find it. Getting the longest one was difficult, you know, counting words, and I picked the one which I think is one of the longest, certainly. Hopefully it's my longest. But and then there was a bonus question to guess what the heck Richard McCook is on about with his My Quarter. title, so I'll have a guess at that and all. But anyway, here we go, without further ado, and very, very briefly, he's asked us to keep it brief. These are my 4 eponymous albums, and the first one from, I'll go in chronological order when they were released. This is from 1970. This is Fotheringay. This is their only album, actually. Sandy Denny had been with Fairport Convention and previously briefly with the Straubs as well, and she formed this band with her, I think it was her partner or partner to be, and this is one of my favourite folk rock, British folk rock albums anyway, ever. I think it's an absolutely superb album, largely down to Denny wrote half the songs, great songs, brilliant singing. I think this is some of her finest singing, and the band are just lovely, particularly the lead guitar beautifully fits in with the sort of folky melodies. Jerry Donahue, I think, was the lead guitarist. But anyway, that's my first one from 1970, Fotheringay. From a year later, 1971, this is Rory Gallagher. Sorry about the scuff on there. This is Rory Gallagher's debut solo album. He'd made albums with the band Taste, but this was his first solo album in 1971. And I didn't used to play this a lot, but I've played it a couple of times lately, and it's definitely grown on me. I used to have sort of Rory Gallagher parked in the, it's pretty much straight ahead, you know, Delta blues, pub blues sort of stuff, I tend to call it. Not the most interesting of the records, but I played it again this morning, and absolutely lovely. There's definitely subtlety and a sort of certain simpleness as well, which is really, really effective. A couple of nice, really acoustic blues tracks as well. So yeah, very, very nice. Rory Gallagher from 1971. My third eponymous album, and I try not to use the word masterpiece too often, but this is one of them. This is it. If I got out a dozen albums out of here that I think are genuine masterpieces, this would be amongst them. This is The Only Ones debut album from 1978. The Only Ones were sort of, I suppose they were classed as a punk band. They appeared on punk compilation albums and played on the punk circuit and stuff, but their style is much more varied. They're not all sort of fast thumping, 100-mile-an-hour songs. They can do that, and one or two of them are a bit like that, and including the brilliant single Another Girl, Another Planet, the second song on side one, absolutely superb. But there's others on here with a sort of jazzy feel, the poppy feel, the rocky feel. Really, really good stuff. Singer Peter Perrott has this beautiful, whiny, whingy voice. It's gorgeous, and he sings these sort of love songs, sort of romantic, sort of, I don't know, as if he's sort of worn down, with the trials and tribulations of relationships, and that's just absolutely brilliant stuff. So yeah, that's The Only Ones from 1978. And then my last eponymous album, this is Doll by Doll, obviously by Doll by Doll, and this is their third album. And I don't think it's their best album. I think their first two albums, and particularly the first one, but the first two albums I think were stronger albums than this. That's not to mean to say it isn't still a good album, it certainly is. Dull by Dull were I suppose the vehicle for the brilliant singer and songwriter and guitarist Jackie Leven, and his voice sort of soars over the sort of, I don't know what you'd classify this as, Celtic new wavy rock. They sort of came out at the start of the sort of, or at the height of the sort of punk first wave, and they were clearly out of kilter with all of that, with the stuff they were doing, and so they never ever really became fashionable, not in their own lifetime. And after this, pretty shortly after this, Jackie Leaven went solo. But look up his stuff and Dull by Dull stuff. But yeah, good album. Dull by Dull, my fourth eponymous album. Then the next two challenges were firstly to show an album which you think has the most characters in the title. Well, the one I've picked, I was going to pick Procol Harum's Live with the Edmonton Symphony Orchestra or something or other, and I counted that up and it had slightly more than this, but I wasn't absolutely sure whether the word Procol Harum Live and the subtitle were both part of the title, and maybe I'm just overthinking this, Richard, you know. I'm prone to that sort of crap. So the one I've picked is Who Will Save the World, The Mighty Ground Dogs, which runs to 39 characters if you count the question mark at the end of Who Will Save the World. And this was their, let me see, it was their fourth album, I think, 1972, and it was one of half a dozen albums in the early 70s that were just absolutely superb. And R.I.P. Tony T.S. McPhee, the lead singer, guitarist, songwriter with the Groundhogs, who passed away earlier this year. Great album cover. I have talked about this one before. I did a series on me sort of ranking me Groundhogs albums, and but anyway, yeah, great album. Their fourth album, Who Will Save the World, The Mighty Groundhogs, where they sort of portray themselves tongue-in-cheek as sort of superheroes who were tackling the sort of forces of evil that are threatening the planet: overpopulation, pollution, war, and pretty much they sadly they failed to overthrow those things, and they totally disappear with a crackle of mystic energy, and in their place a curiously contrived blues and rock group whose name coincidentally happens to be the Groundhogs. Yeah, brilliant stuff. Who Will Save the World, The Mighty Groundhogs. And then an album with the least number of characters in the title. Well, I've got a few with 2 characters. I can't think I've got one with 1 character, but the one I'm going to show is Roy Harper's HQ. There's the man himself, Roy Harper, depicted walking on water, which yeah, it's quite funny. I think he's an acquired taste, Roy Harper, and I am slowly acquiring it. The more I do listen to him, the more I acquire it. I think I was initially put off by he's very, very English, and as I might have mentioned on this channel before, I sometimes struggle with Englishness, but and in fact, talking about Englishness, in America this album was released with a much longer title. In fact, the title was the title of the last track on here, When an Old Cricketer Leaves the Crease, and the lyrics on that one, you know, they're talking about silly mid-ons and 12th mans and fine legs and all those sort of things. God knows what they made of it in the USA, but I think it was one of his most commercially successful and critically acclaimed albums. And yeah, it's a good album. It starts off great with the game, parts 1 to 5, just a great opening track, and then that track I've just mentioned, When an Old Cricketer Leaves the Crease, really, really nice final track that he does with the he's backed by the Grimethorpe Colliery brass band. Yeah, lovely stuff. So that's my short, or one of my shortest titled albums. That's Roy Harper HQ. So that was Richard's contest. For a bonus question, he asked us to have a guess at what he's getting at with his title, My Quarter. And I have no idea, Richard. I was going to say maybe a quarter of the people who put comments on you and nuts, you know, or something. But I'm going to have a guess anyway. I think you've got a lot of LPs. Looking at the photos of the background there in your in your place, and you've done quite a lot of videos, about 400 odd. So I'm going to guess that a quarter or 25% is the amount of your collection that you've held up on video since you started making them. But that's my guess. But thanks for watching. Hopefully back with a video next week. I'm off to the festival, then off to see Pulp tomorrow. I'll let you know how it goes. Cheers. Ta-ra.